Have you ever wondered about California's history? Everything from school to the founding of land such as the United States and California has a backstory. This video will introduce you to the 4 primary settlements of the Spanish Mission period in California and give brief background about each of the 4 settlements. The missions began around the mid-1700s when Spanish rulers, which owned the country we now know as Mexico, decided they wanted to expand their territory northward into our current state, California. So they sent an expedition led by Gaspar de Portalo and Father Junipero Serra to establish their Spanish missions. The Spaniards built a total of 21 missions spanning from San Diego to Sonoma between the years 1769 and 1823. As they built, the land was developed into 4 settlements: missions, presidios, rancheros, and pueblos. One purpose of the missions was to convert Native Americans to the Catholic faith. The daily routine in the missions began with morning prayers, followed by 30 minutes to an hour of instruction in the Catholic faith. Mission residents also recited the Rosary, which is a series of Catholic prayers counted on a string of beads, and after breakfast, the natives worked in the fields or workshops. The women primarily worked in the kitchen or operated spinning wheels, while the children attended school. After evening meals, everyone in the mission would gather for more religious instruction and prayers before going to sleep. Presidios were military forts built throughout Spanish territories to protect the missions and the pueblos from foreign invaders and local native groups that were unhappy with the mission system. They provided military support for missions until the missions could support themselves. Presidio soldiers were trained to capture and bring back any natives who ran away from the missions, and the soldiers also guarded herds of cattle and horses to keep them from being stolen by native raiders. The ranchos were large land grants given to the people that were loyal to the Spanish crown and later given to the newly independent government in Mexico. It was primarily a tract of land used for raising cattle, sheep, and horses, and rancho workers were often Native Americans who had been former mission residents and had learned to speak Spanish from the missionaries. The term pueblos, also known as towns, was first used by the Spanish to refer to those Native American communities that they encountered, which were housed in apartment-like structures made of mud or stone. The pueblos were mostly occupied by the California Native Indians and were used to plant corn, beans, squash, cotton, tobacco, and sunflowers. The men of the pueblos hunted animals such as deer, antelope, bears, and rabbits with bows and arrows, while the women gathered berries and nuts. Women were in charge of keeping the house and taking care of the children, while the men farmed, hunted, fought, and participated in the government. Life in the pueblos was primarily centered around religion and culture. The mission period in California began to end in 1821 when Mexico won its independence from Spain. Mexico's defeat of Spain meant that Mexico was now in control of California, and since the government in Mexico wasn't interested in supporting the missions, they decided in 1833 that all mission lands should be transferred from the Catholic Church to the pueblos. This transfer of the mission lands was called secularization, and it marked the official end of the mission period in California.